Do you need to shut down your LLC as soon as possible? If so, then it's extremely important that you close it down the right way. Otherwise, you could be forced to deal with giant fees, lawsuits, and a wide variety of other serious consequences. The last thing that you want to experience when you're closing your shop is unexpected trouble just because you didn't know how to close down your LLC properly. So today, I'm going to explain everything that you need to know about shutting down your LLC correctly so that you can avoid getting hassled by the IRS, paying some gigantic fees, or dealing with lawsuits or other severe issues. Without further ado, let's dive in. There are a series of steps that you need to complete if you want to dissolve your LLC correctly. I'm going to walk you through each of them right now. Step number 1, agree to dissolve through a vote. If there are other owners in your LLC besides yourself, then you're going to have a formal vote to dissolve the LLC. But keep in mind, the rules vary from state to state regarding what kind of majority you need in order to have the vote pass and be official. For example, in some states, you might need a 2/3 majority. So make sure that you check the rules for your particular state regarding the voting process. Number 2, file the appropriate paperwork. You will need to inform both the Secretary of State's office and the IRS that you're going to dissolve your LLC. Again, different states have different forms that you might have to file to notify them of your decisions to dissolve your LLC. So you'll have to check with your state's Secretary of State website to see exactly how to file the paperwork to close your LLC. When it comes to letting the IRS know about the dissolution of your LLC, you will file Form 966. This form lets the IRS know that you're formally closing your LLC and that you will not be operating this business anymore. Step number 3 is to pay outstanding bills and debts. If your company still owes money to various parties, then you should pay all of the money you owe. You are required to pay all of your bills before you can start distributing assets of the company amongst yourself and other members. So if you still owe your vendors, employees, or creditors, then start using the remaining funds within your business to pay everyone what they're owed. Step number 4, notify all your creditors. If your LLC still owes money to creditors when you're shutting it down, then you are required to give them notice. Each state has its own policies for the deadline for notifying your creditors, and also how long your creditors will have to wait to file a lawsuit against you if they decide they want to sue you to try to reclaim any debts owed. Hopefully, when you dissolve your LLC, you will not have any outstanding debt. But if you do, it is crucial to be aware of these rules. Check with your state government to find out the specific rules for your state. Step number 5 is to complete your tax returns. When you go to close down your LLC, you may still have returns that need to be filed, taxes that need to be paid, and so on. So complete your taxes and don't forget to make sure that all of your payroll withholdings and sales taxes are current and funded correctly. When you file your final tax return for your LLC, check the box indicating that this will be your last tax return for this LLC. When you are taking care of the tax aspect of closing down your LLC, you'll also need to contact the IRS and close out your EIN number. Step number 6 is close down everything else. The next step is to make sure that all your bank accounts, your insurance policies, licenses, registrations, utilities are closed down for the LLC. However, after you close all of these things down, make sure that you keep a record of all of the important documents regarding these things. You never know, you might need them in the future if you are audited. So it is better to be prepared by just making sure you have at least one, if not several copies of your most important documentation for your business. Step number 7, dividing the assets. This should be the very last thing that you do to close your LLC. The reason is because you might need your assets to pay all the existing bills and taxes before you divide them up amongst yourself and the other owners of the business. When you're dividing the assets, you might find that you may have to sell some of them in order to make sure that each member of the LLC gets paid his or her fair share according to your pre-established ownership percentages in your operating agreement. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do people close down LLCs? Let's talk about some of the reasons why people close down LLCs in the first place. If any of these reasons apply to your situation, then it might be time for you to close down your LLC. The business purpose has been completed. Some businesses are only designed to exist for a short period of time, such as a couple of years. For example, if there is a gold strike in a small town in Alaska, a group of people might form a mining company under an LLC and operate the LLC while they mine the gold. Then once they have finished mining the gold, they may dissolve the LLC as it has no purpose anymore. The business is not economically viable. Not all businesses succeed, and not all businesses remain economically viable forever. So sometimes, if a business is not working out as the owners intended, they might as well just shut it down. A disagreement amongst the members of the LLC occurs. Even if a business is working well, The members of the LLC might have a large disagreement about one particular aspect of the business. For example, the members might have a sudden disagreement about the operations of the business, the distribution of profits, and many other aspects. And unfortunately, major disagreements do occur sometimes amongst business partners, and occasionally they cannot be resolved, and it results in the closing of the LLC. Retirement. Oftentimes, when one or several members of an LLC retire, the LLC ends up getting closed down. This is either because the retiring person was so critical to the business that the other LLC members do not want to go on without him or her, or because they simply think that the time is now to close the business. So, what could happen if you don't close your LLC correctly? Some people assume that they can just not close down their LLCs and instead leave them open and not file any tax returns. This is really not a good option. In fact, if you do try this, you could experience a wide variety of negative consequences. Here are some of the most serious of these potential consequences. You could be held personally liable for unpaid debts, taxes, and other liabilities of your business. In other words, if you do not properly close your LLC, then you could potentially lose some of the liability protection that the LLC structure provides in the first place. This will not automatically happen to everyone, but it can happen in some cases. I mean, just imagine how awful it would be to have your personal assets seized in order to pay for unpaid debts or taxes or damages from a lawsuit against your old business. This is definitely something that you would want to avoid at all costs. You could be forced to pay fees. Some states impose a fee on LLC owners who leave their LLCs open and who do not file taxes for the LLC. Additionally, many states charge LLC owners a fee just to keep their LLCs open anyways. So if your LLC is open, you could be required to pay different types of fees, and they could really add up over time. You might not be able to get certain types of property back. If you own property under your LLC's name, then you might not be able to get this property back until you close down your LLC. The reason why this is the case is because if your LLC ends up owing money to creditors when you want to close your LLC, then that business's assets might be distributed to creditors to pay any outstanding debts. Hopefully, this won't be the case with your situation if you decide that you want to close your LLC, but it is better to be aware of this ahead of time just in case. Someone else could steal your LLC. Yes, that's correct. If you leave your LLC unattended and do not formally close it down, then someone could start doing business under the name of your LLC. There are many bad things that can happen if this occurs. For example, let's say that you have a construction business named John's Construction LLC. If you close down your company but leave your LLC open, then someone else could start doing construction projects pretending to be you. They might also try to use your permits or your company's assets or do a wide variety of other things. And this is definitely not something that you would want to have happen. This is why closing down your LLC is always encouraged. But what if you decide you want to reopen your LLC? Sometimes LLC owners change their mind after they dissolve their LLCs and they decide that they would like to reopen them. It is possible to reopen an LLC that you have previously closed, and there are a number of advantages to doing this compared to starting a brand new LLC from scratch. You can keep the original EIN number. Once the IRS assigns an EIN number to your business, it is yours forever, just like a social security number. So you'll be able to use your original EIN number if you decide to start up your LLC again. You can keep your original business name. You see, creating a brand new business name can be a hassle. Not only will you have to take the time to try to think of a new, high-quality name over time, but also, if you do change it, then you will have to build your business reputation from the ground up. If you keep your original business name, on the other hand, you'll be able to pick up right where you left off. You get to keep your historical business credit information. If you keep the same business name and EIN number, then you'll also be able to keep your benefit from your historical business credit information. So if you have a good business credit rating when you were running your LLC in the past, then this can work to your advantage if you decide to reopen your LLC. It is important to keep in mind though, guys, that just because there are some serious advantages to reopening your old LLC, this doesn't mean that you have to do this if you want to go back into business, or that it's always the best option. In fact, in some cases, it makes sense to just start from the beginning, form a brand new LLC with a new operating agreement and a new business name and a new EIN number. Here are some circumstances in which it would be better to start from the beginning with a new LLC than go through the process of trying to reopen an LLC. The reputation of your previous business has been destroyed. Sometimes business reputations are destroyed and it's essentially impossible to repair the damage. For example, one of the owners could have embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars out of the business. There could have been a highly publicized lawsuit against the business that cast a shadow over your business. So this could be a reason. A crucial owner has left the business. As mentioned earlier, sometimes LLC owners close down when a major member of the company retires or leaves the business. And this is particularly true if the person's name was a part of the business's name. This is very common in the legal industry. For example, if a law firm going by the name of Robbins and Smith has either Robbins or Smith leaving the business, the remaining owner might want to rebrand the business so that it's only his name. What about the former LLC having bad business credit scores? Being able to obtain credit and get low interest rates is crucial for certain types of businesses. So if you think that you will need to get a lot more credit for your business when you restart it, and if you have a bad business credit score, then you might be better off starting from scratch with a brand new business and a new LLC. What if your LLC can't pay all of its debts when you want to close it? You see, sometimes LLC owners want to shut down the business, but they do not have the cash on hand to cover all the debts that it owes to creditors. Usually when this situation occurs, the LLC owner will declare bankruptcy.
I declare bankruptcy!
During the bankruptcy proceedings, the remaining assets of the company will be distributed to the creditors. Typically, due to the nature of the limited liability companies, the owners will not be held personally liable for the debts of the business. So for example, in most LLC bankruptcies, the LLC owner will not lose their house or their personal bank accounts. However, sometimes LLC owners sign personal guarantees that can make them personally liable for the business's debts. And in some circumstances, banks, landlords, and other creditors require new LLC owners with few business assets to sign personal guarantees. So if you're closing an LLC and if you have made these kind of personal guarantees to creditors, then there is a chance you could lose some of your personal assets in the event of your LLC going through bankruptcy and eventually closing. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope that you have a much better understanding of how to close an LLC down correctly, whether or not it's the right decision for you. And yes, it's true sometimes it can be hard to make this decision. If you need help figuring out whether or not closing your LLC is the right move for you, then my team can help you with this. You can schedule a complimentary consultation by clicking on the link in the description below this video. I also just want to remind you that I have a course called Tax Alchemy. This course teaches you how to reduce your tax burden legally using the same strategies that the wealthy use year in and year out. Finally, I know a lot of you guys are interested in creating real estate-based tax strategies or learning how to use the power of real estate to reduce your tax burdens. If you fall into this category, then you can schedule a complimentary consultation with my real estate tax strategy team in the description below. That's it for now. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.